A notable figure was Johnny Carson. Strong and private TV ministry. He welcomed for 30 years. Every night, America visits his studio. When he died, many assumed his huge family money would be divided, friends, and those who had been his friend for decades. But that didn't happen. The how Carson handled his estate astonished even those who felt they understood him. Join us as we discover the surprise Johnny Carson's story, final decision, and his pick superior to all. That child who learned for room control. Johnny Carson was 1925 Norfolk, Nebraska birth, right? Amid the Great Depression, his childhood was calm and quiet, influenced by small-town values and distractions. In Norfolk, life moved slowly and everybody paid attention on company. Carson was raised modestly. Household with entertainment something you made, not something effortless. This environment was key shaping his identity. Starting young, Carson was timid. He wasn't loudest kid in the room and did not instinctively seek attention in societal situations. Instead, he watched people closely. He observed others. Spoke, joked, and acted. This routine kept watching rather than saying lifelong with him. Helped him know timing, conduct, and made people chuckle or pause. Once something overcame his shyness early on. Magic. Carson was young. A magic kit altered him. Everything. Practicing tricks boosted him. Under control, he didn't tend daily life. At his performance magic, he was noticed. They listened. They reacted. At first, Carson felt it. Holding a room's attention, and he loved it. Magic went beyond a hobby. It made connecting safe for him with others without sharing emotionally. The early performances shaped his personality. Carson discovered he could communicate better through performance than conversation. He didn't need explanation. His feelings if he could make people amuse or surprise them. This preference remained his adult companion. He was often more comfortable on stage than in intimate interactions, where emotional transparency was expected. During Carson served in World War II, U.S. Navy. Military life taught him discipline, structure, and habit. It also gave him new audiences. At station at sea, Carson entertained sailors' jokes, magic, and impressions tricks. Such spontaneous performances improved his timing and confidence. He learned to read the crowd fast and adapt to them reacting, which later became crucial to his success. After battle, Carson returned to civilian life. Definite direction. He tried college and traditional job paths, but none felt right. Settling in his usual routine didn't appeal. He already felt its power. He wanted greater audience. He didn't just perform. Enjoyed. It felt required. Carson knew his future was bleak. He was eager to be quiet, pursue something larger, and hunger for attention would soon push him out to tiny rooms to larger ones stage. King of late-night TV. After Johnny Carson returned from the Navy, did not become famous immediately. His career started slowly and occasionally painfully. Got a job at WOWTV local television in Omaha, harsh and unexpected. Budgets were small, crews, and hosts expected to accomplish everything. Carson wrote jokes, sketches, introduced, he entertained people, and filled time. Could. There was no polish. Mistakes were common. In this period compelled Carson to labor nonstop. He trained to think swiftly and stay tranquility on live TV. There were none. Second chances. If anything goes wrong. He had to rectify it on the spot. While the crowd was small, the experience was valuable. Carson was developing talents unknowingly they would become crucial. Hagen patience. Failure occurred. Comes swiftly, and he accepted years' silent effort with little recognition. His first breakthrough came his move to Los Angeles and landing an appearance on Who Do You Trust? The show paired him with announcer Ed McMahon. A collaboration would become famous. The show gave first national exposure for Carson. Viewers across began to his features and dry wit are familiar. He wasn't dazzling, but calm delivery stood out. While Whom Trust wasn't hard hit. It showed Carson could handle national TV. Most crucially, network executives gained trust in him. He showed prepared, professional, and wasn't disruptive. Its reputation mattered in a strong industry, weak egos and personalities. In 1962, Carson was given the chance to alter his life. He was picked to assume The Tonight Show starring Jack Paar, replaced by Johnny Carson. Paar emotional and unpredictable, and the performance was popular yet unsteady. Carson accepted a career with great expectations and pressure. Many people doubted his suitability. Choice. Early Carson years, The Tonight Show was awkward. He appeared stiff, anxious, and uncertain of himself. His jokes failed to always land, and his delivery felt cautious. Critics doubted his supported the format. But Carson remained calm. Instead, he watched the show carefully. He adapted, learning little things, nightly successes and failures. Over time, Carson shaped the show suitable for him. He settled in a relaxed monologue way of audience communication and employed workstation for control rather than distance. The couch became a non-performance talk space. The band established the tone. Show, and Carson learned to move effortlessly from jokes to interviews music. Nothing felt rushed or forced. Years passed. The Tonight Show made nightly routine for millions of Americans. Carson wasn't merely host, and he got familiar. Household presence. Watching him before bed became routine. His responses were as important as his jokes. Raised eyebrow or stop could earn a laugh wordless. By the late 1960s, shedding throughout the 1970s, Carson's unmatched influence. If he joked regarding a film, book, or person, attention was paid. A decent appearance in his show may launch a career overnight. Bad ones could stall it. The comedians waited years to chance to sit on his couch, knowing strong performance could change them lives. Carson managed his show carefully. He chose who was welcome, who returned and vanished. Hever did camera controversy, but huge influence behind the scenes. He was most famous by the 1970s a powerful entertainer. But he rarely mentioned it. Power wasn't required. Everyone already know. As he became famous, the expense of retaining that much control appeared. Pattern of marriages. Johnny Carson married 4 times. Each marriage followed emotional similarity. Due to his fame, his power increased. His ability to stay the emotional present shrank. To persons who only knew him from TV, Carson seems calm and nice. And in charge. To her closest women, he was often absent, hard to reach, guarded. His first marriage to Joan Walcott, lengthy before his fame. They married 1949 when Carson was trying to build a career. He was ambitious, then focused, working long hours and contemplating the next step. Opportunities slowly came, pressure rose. Carson's focus focused on achievement, not stability. The marriage struggled emotionally, absence and infidelity. And by when his career took off, this romance was over. Their 1963 divorce as Carson gained national prominence figure. Joanne, his second wife Copeland, occurred during the most. His climb was intense. Carson was hosting The Tonight Show and work devoured life. The schedule was severe, pressure relentless, his public image cultivated. This marriage has emotional highs and lows. Disagreements often, trusting was shaky. Carson, his public function was difficult to separate from private life. At home, he often shut down instead of talking. Friends recounted the relationship later as tight and unstable, expressing pressure of his fame. At the time Carson married Joanna Holland, wealthy and famous in the early 1970s, savory cautious. This stage of his life packed with celebrity events, wealthy residences, and elite society circles. From outside, it looked glamorous. Within the marriage, Carson continued emotionally withdrawing. He liked socializing alone. Terms. When interest waned as expectations rose, he retreated. Silence became his usual response. Conflict. This marriage, like the others, divorced. Carson's last marriage to Alexis Moss was great, toned differently. Marriage occurred in 1987. When Carson was older and stopped watching TV. Moss was quiet, youthful, and uninterested, Hollywood focus. This marriage was calmer till Carson's death. They resided mostly elsewhere. Spotlight, especially after their retirement. While Carson stayed emotionally guarded, relationship worked because it required less him. Fewer public expectations and less pressure. Performed socially. On all 4 marriages show a pattern. As Carson succeeded, more retreated. He valued control and privacy over feelings openness. His preference was solitude, allowing activity eases sailing, tennis, or sitting alone, silent. These moments gave him tranquility but caused distance from his loved ones. Many friends noticed this discrepancy in Carson's character. He may be warm, witty, and kind to strangers. He welcomed and treasured guests. But with family, he often kept emotional barriers. Conversations stayed flat. Deep feelings exchanges put him off. This wasn't cruel. It became habitual. Spanning decades. He performed. Felt secure. Intimacy wasn't. Carson's marriages show a man who battled balancing control. Love existed but competed with him. Required distance. His celebrity increased the distance he created between himself others, even his loved ones most. And one wedding in particular would crumble soon. Carson never fully recovered from recuperated. Near-miss affair ruined him. On Johnny Carson's marriage to Joanne Copeland, one tale following him decades for how it was personal and explosive. The claim Frank and Joanne had an affair in FL and TV starred Ford personality. This story spread years later through accounts from around Carson, including his American lawyer, Henry Bushkin wrote Carson thought the affair happened acted on that belief. It matters that expressed this plainly. Joanne Copeland publicly denied an affair, that she and Ford were pals. Carson was jealous. See reports of moment others linked Toastery also denied it. So whether it happened precisely as claims are disputed, but not this is disputed. Carson believed betrayal and emotional harm. That belief was strong. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, Carson always under strain. He was hosting The Tonight Show, leading ratings, and carrying weight having late-night TV fame. His public image required control, sharpness, tranquility, and unshakability. Careful about dignity, hedonist humiliation. Because of that, an affair notion hit him strongly. It not only a marriage issue. To him, even if it was public humiliation, much transpired in private. Bushkin memoir accounts characterize Carson's wrath despair, including facing the situation dramatically since he wanted proof. Even reading these stories later, primary idea is apparent. Carson did not behave like a secure person supported. He reacted like someone whose world collapsed. Following this, people around Carson noticed changes. His coldness increased. Suspicious. He was private before. Nature. But privacy has hardened. Emotional remoteness. Friend and co-workers witnessed a man who could perform well on camera, but seemed better protected off camera. The situation contributed to another issue, drinking. He had multiple accounts. Personal life describe alcohol becoming larger element of his approach, long-term stress and fury. For Carson, trust was never simple. Fame did it. Harder because so many wanted something from him: money, attention, access, or career aid. He believed when his wife was unfaithful, verified his darkest fears that even his loved ones might hurt him. So from there, he kept more of himself locked up. Away. Friendly host was real. Television, but private man became tougher to reach. This episode mattered because it ended more than a marriage. It influenced Carson. It came later. More control, less forgiving, and more alone than most viewers ever realized. And then, our discussion will cover his drinking. Worsening as pressure and loneliness grew. Drinking issues. By then, Johnny Carson was firmly established as late-night face on The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson. Another pattern: stay away from cameras. Snorts. Visitors, co-workers, and friends subsequently mention his drinking gradually became important to him. Private life. What began in 1960s social drinking increased in the 1970s, especially pressure, celebrity, and personal issues rose. Carson had to be perfect every day. Night. He had to act fast and calm. Funny to millions. Errors were unacceptable. That time built pressure. Alcohol helped him relax. To calm his mind. After the show, he rarely dealt with feelings. Talked about. He kept quiet, describe emotional distress. Instead, he handled it calmly. It became routine to drink. Show staff noted mood varies depending on whether he drank. Some days, pleasant and playful. Others, remote, sharp, or exceptionally quiet. Staff learned sign reading. Guests occasionally felt it, especially backstage visitors before show. Carson never allowed it to totally appear after cameras were on. But off camera, the difference made clear. The contrast became one of his most remarkable traits. Carson was reliable on TV. Control. His timing was impeccable. His jokes worked. His interviews flowed. Naturally. Viewers observed a man that resembled comfortable and confident. But after the indicate that Carson often faded. His calm, reserved side took over, and alcohol was commonly used present at those hours. Drinking also related to his growing sense of loneliness. His marriages struggled. Carson's confidence in others waned. Spent more time alone. He disliked large parties and less related to work. He preferred smaller, calmer places to avoid discussions on emotions. Alcohol made his peaceful nights were easier. It filled space without him open up. With time, Carson retired more to his home in far from Hollywood. Malibu sounds from industry. The ocean, privacy, and distance gave him comfort. He played and sailed for days. Quiet sitting or tennis. These activities calmed him, but they also cut his tight relationships. The more drinking fit into his withdrawal. His routine uninterrupted. People his associates later said Carson occasionally drank working hours. He safeguarded performance carefully. But when labor ended, pattern returned. Became partway he handled his weight life. Betrayal, success, expectations and the necessity to always be on public. Not this private struggle damaged his career, but influenced him behind the desk. This deepened him. Emotional remoteness makes it tougher for others to reach him. The audience never saw this side. They saw polished host who appeared things under control. And soon a treachery from a trusted sources how would evaluate control very publicly. Joan Rivers feud. For years, Joan Rivers was best known Tonight Show guests, featuring Johnny Carson. She appears on show more than any other guest comedy star and rapidly became crowd favorite. She's sharp. Humor, speed, and bold jokes distinguished her. More crucially, Johnny Carson trusted her, something he gave reluctantly. Carson not only a guest, Rivers saw her as ward. He helped her career by airing her frequently. Other comics struggled to get noticed. When Carson was away, Rivers guest hosted frequently that offered prestige pressure. That post was then often seen as approval. Many thought Rivers was silent plan for the long-term a trusted successor brand extension for Carson. At the back scenes, Carson treated Rivers' warmth, encouragement, hesmiled at her jokes, defended her against critics, supported her achievement. For he who kept most people away mattered. Rivers subsequently said she felt deeply attached to Carson, not simply personally, but professionally. She believed their information was solid honesty and loyalty. That faith broken in 1986. Rivers accepted an offer that year to host her own late-night chat show Fox Broadcasting. From a business-wise, it was huge. Opportunity. Fox was expanding. Rivers would have her own show instead than waiting for opportunities fill in. However, one major problem. She took the offer without hesitation. First telling Carson. When Carson found the man was outraged. What harmed him most? Not ratings or competition. Carson did not fear Rivers' by Fox or skill. His grievance was the absence of communication. He believed Rivers owed him a private chat before acting. In his mind, it was personal betrayal. He felt someone he supported surprised a man trusted for years. Carson reacted, typically did, when he felt betrayed. He closed the door entirely. Rivers was banned from The Tonight Show. Lifelong. No public argument, not a TV fight. Carson shut her down. He never invited her back, never named her in the show, never addressed the scenario with her. For Rivers, silence was horrible. She tried to explain network discussions moved rapidly and felt compelled to agree. Later, she wanted to talk to Carson but lost the chance. A break was sudden and final. She was once a consistent attendance on crucial televised show. The next day she was removed. Fox show itself struggled. Uneven ratings and internal issues crippled its future. Rivers without Carson's help lost a significant platform that helped shape her career. Years later, she explicitly labeled the fallout her worst break was Carson. Working life. She said she felt abandoned and terribly upset by his rejection talk to her. In contrast, Carson never publicly loosened stance. Friends stated he believed loyalty mattered more than reasons. He once did feeling crossed. He rarely reconsidered. This pattern appeared in his past. Personal life. And now it happened in very publicly. The feud merged. One of the most notorious quiet breaks entertainment history. No, not suing each other, just shouting quiet and distance. It showed how Carson loved control greatly. He could be unforgiving when contested control. As his final years were quieter, would relocate farther from the spotlight. Last year's, when Johnny the Tonight Show's Carson retired, featuring Johnny Carson 1992, as similar to how he handled most of he lived peacefully and independently. After 30 years on broadcast, he presented a respectful finale, passionate but controlled. There was no lengthy goodbye. Long press, no run without staying in public eye. Carson entered after the show. Gone forever. Many admirers like his unexpected disappearance. Carson had nighttime presence in America residences for decades. Helped people die their day, shaped public discourse and introduced generations of comedians and celebs. However, after retiring, he wasn't interested in keeping that focus. He did not appear frequently on talk shows. He did not write memoirs or participatory focused TV programs. simply left. Once retired, Carson primarily lived in Malibu, California. Avoiding studio lighting and audience applause, he spent sailing, tennis, and loving extended silences. His friends say he valued privacy above ever. He skipped Hollywood gatherings. Calls were rarely returned. For someone who had perfected camera conversation, he avoided public speaking. All health issues also increased. Serious in these years. Carson had heavy smoker for a while his life, and the effects caught up him. He was diagnosed with emphysema. Persistent lung illness, causing breathing problems difficult. Over time, his ailment slowed him. More frail, and paying more attention to his spending his vitality. His universe shrank, his circle tightened. Despite him failing health, Carson stayed mentally alert, followed current happenings quietly, and kept in touch limited group of reliable buddies. He occasionally handwritten notes torn out comedians, offering encouragement without attention. Small movements showed the part still cared strongly about comedy. Though he no longer wanted to watch Carson's marriage to Alexis, Moss remained quiet. Years. The connection mostly worked. Because it respected his space needs and privacy. They avoided noise, with expectations, and Carson appeared happy with it. He did not seek thrills or innovation. He appeared content being a waveview. On January 23, 2005, Johnny Carson died at 79 from complications from emphysema. His death occurred in Malibu, same place he decided to reside nearly alone. News of his death circulated swiftly. Tributes flowed in from around the world. Despite death, Carson remained apart. There was no his family honored during public funeral, his desire seclusion. Carson's last years reflected his manhood that he made the world laugh for decades and left without looking back. He did not request noisy memorialization, just left. Even after his death, his wealth management showed how diligently he protected his private life. The wealthy few expected. Johnny Carson died in people realized he was rich in 2005. He ruled late-night TV. Over decades, negotiating contracts that were renowned in industry. But what surprised many wasn't simply his wealth. He was calm and diligent, organized. Most reports explain Carson's estate is part of around $300 million. And private estates often estimate not public. Evidently documented is a large section his money was routed through private plan, not public display announcements. Carson didn't want attention for giving, and he didn't twish his will drama. The biggest headline years after his death files revealed Carson made on large donation to the established charity foundation. In 1981, he founded John W. Carson, commonly known as Johnny Foundation. Carson Foundation, for causes enjoy kids, shows education, healthcare. Then after his death, the foundation received $156 million bequest trust related to his estate, a number that shocked many because Carson's gifting was discreet during his lifetime. Then where did rest go? A large inheritance when his fourth wife, Alexis Moss, had accompanied him through retirement stayed hidden for years. Several estate summaries reports say money not charitable and foundation focus set primarily to Moss and his family. Carson has kids. 3 boys from his first marriage, but one son died 1991. Public accounts often remark his remaining sons inherited, too. But the overall picture showed which is Carson's biggest financial statement was his charitable giving, not a lavish family payoff. If you like the video, subscribe to the video channel and enable alerts for more similar stories.